And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. We also are simulcasting our broadcast today on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram because of a very special guest that's joining us today. Best-selling author Alice Hoffman is here to talk to us not only about her extraordinary storytelling journey, but also her brand new book, When We Flew Away. For those of us, of course, who are familiar with Anne Rice, with with Anne Frank, this book allows us to be able to know a little bit more about Anne before, of course, we are able to learn about her diary. It is a novel, but we're going to talk to what it was like for Alice to be able to write this book and to be able to go into the journey of not only who Anne Frank was, but also to share some great things I think about humanity and what we can achieve. If you guys have not gotten the book for yourself, it is available here on Amazon. We're going to highlight it for you guys in the carousel here. You all can get the paperback or the Kindle edition. But Alice, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me here.
Look, the pleasure is definitely all mine. We're so glad to be able to speak with you. I really enjoyed When We Flew Away. I want to begin there. What was it like for you to think about the life that Anne Frank had before we found out about her in the diary that was published?
Well, before the diary, we never really knew very much about her life. And so I felt like the novel should show you what happened before the family had to move into the attic. And it was a really fascinating journey for me to do the research to see how a country could change over a very short period of time. And to kind of get to know the family by doing the research and also following in Anne's footsteps.
What I thought was so great about the book, myself, Alice, is that not only are we able to see externally what is happening in your book with Anne Frank, but also internally as well. Even in one of the reactions with one of her friends, where they were able to use their imagination, how more comfortable Anne seemed to be as you portrayed in the book. When she's portraying someone else, as her friend said to her, what was it like for you to kind of think about what it was like for her to grow into herself and even to be able to find the strength to be comfortable with herself?
It was funny because I when I agreed to write the book, Scholastic came to me. It was their idea. I
Mhm.
wanted to do it so badly. I didn't think about, is this going to be difficult to get inside of Anne Frank, whose book is so beloved by so many people, and who wrote her book in a first person narration, which I then couldn't do. But I still wanted to be inside of her, exactly as you said. You want to know how she feels about things. And, one of the things that I really loved about her as a character is that she's so extraordinary, but she's also just an ordinary girl at the same time.
Yeah. And I think, again, even though we live in different circumstances here, Alice, I think readers of all ages will be able to read this book and to think about the world that they live in, right? And how what's
Yeah.
happening around them impacts who they are, but also the impact they can have on others. I want to talk about that for you because as a storyteller, even though we're focusing on When We Flew Away today, Alice, you're one of those storytellers that people really enjoy. You're able to give us
Oh.
characters that are lively, that are entertaining, but also make you think. What has that been like for you in your writing journey to think about the impact you've had on readers?
Well, thank you so much for saying that because that's what I would want to happen more than anything because I became a writer because I was a reader. I mean, I read Anne Frank's diary when I was 12, but I was always a reader. And it was where I found out about the world. I bonded with characters, they changed my life. And so if I could have anything like that happening from my books, I would be so honored. And that would be my main goal, to have somebody feel about one of my books the way I felt about the books that I loved when I was young.
Do you think your love of reading early, Alice, is what kind of endeared you to writing for a younger audience?
I think so. And I also think, when I read Anne Frank's diary, it was kind of a mind-blowing situation for me because when I was in school, we didn't read women writers. And to read a book that was written by a young girl, a young Jewish girl, gave me kind of the hope that maybe I could do that too. Maybe I could be a writer.
Love that. Hello to you, Herschel. Good to be able to see you over there on the IG side. We are simulcasting our broadcast today, and I bring that up, Alice, because one thing that's happened in your career that you've been able to see is the different ways that we're able to enjoy books. Talk to us about that, because you've been able to, of course, you and I are being introduced virtually today, but you've been able to meet your readers in person. What has it been like for you to see the evolution in the way that we're able to enjoy books and engage with other readers today?
It is, what you're saying is so true. It is so different. When I started out, I would occasionally maybe get like a fan letter and
Mhm.
never thought to write back. I didn't know that you could have a relationship outside of the book itself. And now with social media, I feel very connected to my readers, and I feel like they feel connected to me and my work. And some readers I've become friends with. It's just kind of a closer relationship. It's not that distant. And from being a reader to being a writer is a very small step to take.
Yeah, I love that. For those who are just tuning in, I see you guys over there on the Amazon side. Welcome. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live, but we are simulcasting it for Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. We're joined by bestselling author Alice Hoffman today, who's celebrating her newest book, When We Flew Away, a novel of Anne Frank before the diary. You mentioned, of course, reading the diary at 12. I think, I was in middle school myself, Alice, when I read it. And one thing I thought about, especially when I was reading When We Flew Away, is how much what is happening around us can impact us, inspire us, or cause us angst as well. Was that part of the connection you felt with Anne Frank, the idea that what is happening, even though you may not have any control over it, you can kind of decide for yourself how it's going to impact you?
Yeah, and one of the things that's interesting about Anne Frank is that while the world was changing all around her, she still had this inner life, this kind of secret life that I think most people have, especially most creative people. And I think for me, that was a real connection with her, is that she had ambition, despite the way the world was falling apart. She wanted to do good in the world. She believed she could do good in the world. And I think that's a really important message right now, both for young readers and for adult readers.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that, because that's one of the things I definitely want to ask you about. Because I think, I know for myself, it was very clear early on that I wanted to write, that I wanted to be able to share, to use that as a way of speaking. I love the fact that with Anne, we're reminded, even though of course people around the world know who she is. I think this novel allows us to see, again, no matter your age, what you're able to do, who you may be able to inspire, but also to push toward their own personal greatness. What do you hope readers take away from that message, Alice, when they read this book about what's possible for them today?
Yeah, well, the first thing I hope is that readers will want to go and read the diary if they haven't ever read it or reread it. And then the other thing is I think the message that Anne gives to us right now is that, you know, anybody can change the world, and that it's always possible to do something positive, no matter how brutal or difficult the times are. And I think that's the deepest message of the book.
Yeah, such a great thing. Again, everyone, Alice Hoffman has been our guest. The book is When We Flew Away. It's available here on Amazon. You all can get it, of course, in print or the Kindle edition. And as she mentions, if you have not read the diary, definitely make sure you all pick that up as well. Alice, I really appreciate you discussing the new book with us. How can our audience stay connected with you?
Stay connected with me. Well, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I would love to hear from them.
All right. Well, Alice, thank you again for spending some time with us. Looking forward to our next conversation together.
Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon. If you guys have not gotten a book for yourself, make sure you guys do go ahead and click through and get it for yourself. For those joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as on YouTube, we have the link to bring you guys over to Amazon and get the book for yourself there. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying thank you so much for being with us. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Cyrus.
You're welcome.